Southeastern Bow Hunter Podcast.
All right, guys, we got Trent Crumpler from Thumper Outdoors. Drew a blank there for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. He's got a YouTube channel that I've been following for a long time. I know JD's seen a few of his episodes and stuff, and he's been on a couple podcasts. You work with Mountain Archery Fest, don't you?
Yeah. So one of the many hats I wear is I do all the social media marketing and photography and videography for Mountain Archery Fest. So yeah, it's one of the many hats.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, you've got a lot of stuff that you have on your plate, man, from broadhead videos to hunting videos to, I think I saw some like survival kit stuff, product reviews, and there's Smokey doing the cameo that he always freaking does.
Hey, Smokey.
Every episode, man, I'm telling you, it's like a thing now. He literally comes downstairs, meows for like 5 minutes, then walks off. It's ridiculous.
This is Smokey's podcast.
It basically is.
He's got to have his time in the spotlight.
Yeah, for real, man. Well, anyway, enough about the cat. Let's get to you.
Sure.
What got you, obviously into hunting and the YouTube side? How'd you get into Mountain Archery Fest? I mean, just all of it, man.
So I started with my story is a little different than I think some people's story. I was 12 or 13. I was younger, sitting on the couch one morning, Sunday morning, flipping through TV channels, looking for some cartoons. And I happened upon the show. And when I flipped to it, there was just a deer on the screen. And then not 10 seconds later, this deer gets shot, runs off and dies. And I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? Yeah. It's like, what's going on here? So I'm watching. And these guys climb out of this tree and they walk over to this deer and they're all pumped and they're excited and they're talking about it. And I'm like, this looks freaking amazing. It happened to be an episode of the Fitzgeralds. So,
wow.
Yeah. So I'm like, this is freaking awesome. I go blowing into my parents' bedroom and I'm like, I want a bow for Christmas. I'm going to start bow hunting. Fortunately, they scraped together some money and got me a cheap Bear Buckmaster BTR Walmart special. It's like a $170 bow. And I'm self-taught, so nobody in my family bow hunted, none of my friends bow hunted. It looked cool. I wanted to try it, and I became obsessed. So I started reading literally everything I could find, watching every video I could find, any information I could get about bow hunting. I was about it, and it took me 3 years to kind of figure out how to tune and work on my own stuff, just reading articles. I mean, I shot a 30-inch draw length at 70 pounds from the time I was 13. I'm 5'10". I don't have a 30-inch draw length now. I have a 28-inch draw length. So you can imagine, I was shooting a prong style rest with fingers, no sight, like hand-me-down aluminum arrows. A guy that my dad worked with gave him. I mean, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Wait, what'd you say your draw length was?
28.
Oh, I thought you said 20. Oh
no.
Yeah,
I was like, good Lord.
No, 28. It just kind of grew into an obsession. 3 years. It took me 3 years to buy a press and start working on my stuff. And then any of my friends that would let me touch their bow. And then I was buying old bows at garage sales for $10 and tearing them apart and putting them together. And it's just kind of grown from there. I think for me, hunting is a lot about adventure. So I'm very bad about, I'll go hunting with some buddies. I'll put them in this tree here and that tree there. And then I'll just keep walking. And before I know it, it's, 45 minutes before shooting light. And I still haven't picked a tree because I was too busy walking over the next hill to figure out what the hell's going on. So that adventure aspect's always kind of driven me. As I started to get older and get more into it, I was fortunate enough to work in several shops, 3 shops, and it just kind of kept the fire going. So that's my background with kind of archery and bow hunting. I guess technically the Fitzgerald started it all for me, and that whole thing is why I started YouTube, because after I had started working on my own stuff, I'm like, man, I have to do this for a living. Like, I have to figure out how to bow hunt for a living.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted a TV show.
Yeah.
And then after doing some research at 16 years old and finding out that a non-primetime spot on the Sportsman's Channel at the time was $30,000 for 6 months, and a primetime outdoor channel slot was $100,000 for 6 months. As a 16-year-old kid, I was like, no way.
Yeah.
So I started a YouTube channel. It was free.
Yep.
That's
And
insane.
oh man, that was in the peak prime of outdoor television, and the cost associated with that stuff at the time was just unbelievable. So what's kind of interesting is now I look back, and I used to be so critical of these TV shows that had a new sponsor every year, and I look back, and when you're paying $100,000 for 6 months, like you kind of have to take the check no matter who writes it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
True.
Yep. Absolutely. And think about everything now compared to then, what it costs now.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard someone said to me one time, if you want to be a millionaire in the hunting industry, start off with 2 million.
Yep.
So that
Yep.
seems pretty accurate.
That is so it's kind of an interesting thing because it's changing a little bit. The internet has completely changed the landscape of every industry, and the hunting industry is part of that too.
Mhm.
Think 5 years ago, we wouldn't be able to be sitting here doing what we're doing, or if we were, nobody was listening to podcasts 5 years ago.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I remember having conversations with guys that had TV shows and having arguments with them about how in 5 years your TV show is not going to matter and everything is going to be streaming, it's going to be online, it's going to be YouTube.
Mhm.
And I can tell you, nobody knows who that guy is now, but everybody knows who the
Right.
hunting public is.
I think you need to name drop. Just kidding, dude. Don't do that. Don't do that. Yeah, it's funny you say that because I was actually talking to Kurt from Working
It
Class
wasn't the
today about that.
Fitzgeralds, was it?
Yeah.
no, it was not.
Yeah, Kurt and I were
Those-
both discussing that whole thing about like podcasts, and Working Class has been in the game for man. I know they were one of the first ones. Like they're huge inspirations, to guys like me that want to follow in their footsteps and do what they do. And we were talking about pretty much everything under the sun when it came down to like their whole beginning and where they're at now. And it's just crazy. Like you said, 5 years ago, we couldn't be doing this. We couldn't be on Zoom, 3 people talking just as if we're at a deer camp, but now we can. And I mean, I don't even have outdoor channel. I don't even have cable. I've got my outdoor TV. Like I was watching Bone Collector today on that. So yeah, I mean, you're 100% right. Like you were definitely ahead of the curve, back then, and it's clearly working out for you.
Well, I wish I would have capitalized on it more, man. I started my YouTube channel when I was 16, and I went through phases. You're a 16-year-old kid. I just wasn't consistent, to be honest. So I was like, for a year, I was big into it. I built like a whole staff. I mean, I'm a 16-year-old kid with 25 guys underneath me, creating content and stuff, and that was a train wreck. I mean, nobody's going to respect a 16-year-old kid that doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground.
Yep.
And they were right. I mean, they were totally right. I had no place doing that. So that kind of burnt me out on staff though, because I did have a situation where a guy had tried to steal everything I had built. So I immediately like messaged everybody's like, we're done. I'm done. You're out. Like, screw this. Then about 3 years later at 19, I came back into it. I started getting a little more serious. It was me and a buddy. And I kind of fell off again when I met a girl. And
we've all been there.
Don't we all?
Yeah. I mean, I was, 19-year-old kid. I was partying and I met a girl and, thought she was the one. So that was the only thing that mattered to me at the time. And turns out, by the way, she was not. So after that whole circumstance, 2.5 years of that, I kind of rolled back around and started taking it more serious, but it was always just going to be a side thing. And then 3 years ago, I finally just decided like, man, I have to take a shot at this. Like I have to take a shot. So 3 years ago, I started taking it really serious, trying to build a business, build a brand. And now I'm at the point, it's what I do full time.
Yeah. When you told me you work with Mountain Archery Fest, that kind of piqued my interest. Cause like me and JD both, we'll go shoot 3D courses and stuff and like ASA tournaments and all of that. And I wanted to go to Mountain Archery Fest down here in Georgia this past year. But I forget what happened, JD. What was it? We just didn't sign up in time, or do you remember what the reason
No, It was you talking about the one that was over in Rome?
No, that was
Yep.
TAC.
No,
Where?
Mountain Archery Fest was
Yeah.
Rome.
Oh,
Kingston
Yeah, it was
Downs.
Rome. Kingston, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a timing issue with us.
Okay. Was that when we did the qualifier shoot?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yep. It was either
Yeah.
qualifier or math. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
So,
be there next year though, for sure.
oh yeah. Oh yeah.
well, good. Well, so it's kind of interesting because we've talked about this a ton. Like, it is impossible to schedule around shoots because there are so many shoots
Yep.
all over the place, and it's not uncommon for guys to drive 4, 5, 6, 7 hours to go to a shoot anymore. Like,
Right.
those days are gone, so we just have to schedule what we can schedule and hope people can make it out. The
Yeah.
cool thing is, for Mountain Archery Fest, since you guys are content creators, we actually have a thing that I introduced because I'm also a content guy, where if you buy any day pass, you can come out Thursday before it starts. You get a course all to yourself. Like, content creators get a course where they can go out, they can build
What?
content. It costs you $10. So essentially,
What?
you get a whole other day of shooting just so you can come out and make content.
We are so going to be there next year. There's no doubt.
Oh, so is it the to be a content creator and get that class to be able to do it the day extra? Is it the $10 on top of the regular, or is it just $10?
It's $10 on top of the regular. So say you book a Friday. Say you book Friday and you want to come out and shoot, but you want to make content. Well, if you pay $10 extra, you can come out Thursday. We have camping on grounds, so you can camp, stay the night cheap. You can make all your content Thursday, and then you can get up Friday and just enjoy yourself and shoot.
Hell yeah, man.
No.
So-
Is there, when you log into MAP, is there a certain spot to where you can actually register for the content creator day, or how does that work?
Yeah, so on the website, there'll be, I want to say, I haven't looked in a while, somewhere in your menu, I think it's under events. It's either under events or it's under registration, but you'll see like 4 content creators. And basically what it is you'll go in, you'll pay for your day, and then you'll go back in and fill out that paperwork, and then you'll pay the extra $10 and you're good to go. So when you show up, we'll have a badge for you. Basically, like I said, that was kind of my push because I'm a content guy, and it's a dual perspective, right? Because there's some guys that go out and pay, and we've had a lot of complaints about guys that are going to TAC and they're like, it's just an Instagram show. Like, everybody's got their camera out there and it's just a big.
Yeah.
So for those guys that don't want to deal with that, well, now we have a content creator day where the content guys can come out and just rock it by themselves.
Yeah.
Also, it's definitely a networking event. So you figure you get a group, you get 7, 8 groups out there of content creators. Now you're meeting guys where you can collaborate. You guys can meet podcast guests. And I'll tell you, with you guys having a podcast, it's a great event for you anyways, because I know for sure that a ton of the people that come and bring booths would absolutely love to be on a podcast. So you guys could walk around the vendor village and just get guest after guest after guest, no problem.
Yeah, that's
how many years.
How
many years have you been doing the content creator side of it?
That is, so for math or in general?
For math.
So this is my first year with math ever. I'm actually friends with one of the board members for math, and he's the content guy generally. He's got a new baby and a new job. So he got a hold of me and asked if I'd be willing to go out to Georgia and just do some content stuff for him. And I was like, yeah, sure. They flew me out, took care of me while I was there. I did some content stuff. They liked me enough. They asked me if I'd come to Pennsylvania, our next event. And then at Pennsylvania, we sat down and had a discussion. They brought me on full time. So I go to every single math event across the country. So if anybody's ever around and wants to talk to me, by all means, I'm running around, probably have a camera in my hand. I'm more than happy to talk to anybody. I love it. And it's been amazing. The Mountain Archery Fest crew is like their family. I mean, from the first day of Georgia, they treated me like I was one of them from the word go. It's been around for 5 years now.
Yeah. Yeah, they seem like some good dudes, man. Like I like TAC. I've never gone, but I like the idea of it. The thing that gets me the most about math, though, is that y'all do. I mean, you've got like the regular course, and I've listened to Brandon talk about it, and he talks about like having the world record course, which is what
Yep.
I'm very interested in because I'm big on like what's the current world record, what's the past record, and all that other stuff. So
Sure.
I didn't actually shoot the same setup that person had, unless it was like in a tree stand. But even then, it's the same distance, and you're shooting at a foam version of that animal. I mean, there's nothing else like that out there. So to me, that's a huge draw. Is just, I mean, even aside from like the content creator stuff, that shit's cool. I mean,
Yeah.
I really am interested in doing that.
That's our number one most popular course by a large margin. And it's exactly like you said, you can go nowhere else. Like nowhere else does that. There's two guys that are artists that do antler recreations in the country. This is the guy that does it for Cabela's and Bass Pro and big stuff. And when he made those antlers for us, he willingly signed a document that said he won't do that for anybody else.
Wow.
So we
Nice.
we kind of have that on lock, but it's really cool, man. It's the Pope and Young Archer World Records. Like you said, they are set up at the distances and as much in the same scenario as we possibly can for what that animal was shot.
Right.
So, for example, the world record moose was shot at 17 yards. So you would think a big target like a moose, that's a 60, 70-yard shot. Well, it's just not on that course because it was shot at 17 yards. On the flip side, the world record polar bear was like 48. So we have a polar bear that's 48 yards. The bison was, I think, 52 or something along those lines. So that bison's 52 yards. We got, the Rocky Mountain elk, I want to say is like 36. So, I mean, it's a really cool course. And then at every target, there's a little blurb about where the animal was shot, the person that shot it.
Okay.
So there's a little bit of information you can glean from every single target you shoot on that course as well.
Yeah, it's like a world record museum you get to shoot at.
Pretty much, yeah.
For the most part. So my
So-
my real question though is, when are you gonna have a Rampolla buck 3D target?
When it's officially a world record.
I was hoping you'd say that. But that would be pretty cool, man. Just to have it.
Yeah.
Like,
So going back to that same question I asked you about the math thing with the content creator. What I was actually kind of meaning by that, I'm glad you answered how long you've been with him. But how long has Matt been doing the content creator side of it for that one day, early?
That's this year too. That was implemented,
Okay.
I want to say, after
Okay.
Pennsylvania. Basically, they brought me on full time. I was like, I have ideas. This is what we need to do.
Right.
And Brandon was cool enough to be like, yeah, bro, and just implement stuff. Like, I trust you. I think you have good creative vision. You have an idea of what we want to do here. So, implement stuff and make it work.
Okay. Is it just Georgia and Pennsylvania, or where else do y'all got them?
Georgia, Pennsylvania, Colorado. There's 2 in Utah, Montana, and Wyoming.
Okay. Well, I live under a rock, so sorry.
Sure.
I didn't know.
No, you're good, man. You're good. I don't mind answering any of those questions. Yeah. So for like you guys in Georgia, here's something that's kind of cool. There was a guy at the Georgia event. He won at every event. We give away an elite bow. Technically, we give away an elite bow and technically a second bow, but it's $1,000 gift card for an archery shop. So this guy comes to this event.
Okay.
He wins the elite bow at Georgia. Then he comes out to Colorado for our Colorado event because he's never been out. He thinks it'd be cool, and he wins Onyx Elite for life at the Colorado event.
Wow.
Where do you call home?
Illinois.
My
Okay.
man.
Okay.
Hell yeah. That's where I'm from, so I'm kind of biased here, but
Well, you did the right thing and left.
I did. Yeah. I was up there last year, man, and I'm looking around like, dude.
Y'all are both Yankees.
Hey, it's damn Yankee, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. It's begrudgingly so. We'll just go that route.
Yeah. I mean, but y'all have pretty good deer up there. Like, the Brewster buck was killed there. I know WC
Pretty good.
There's a lot of good. Okay.
The Brewster buck was killed. If I remember right, the Brewster buck was Fulton County.
Oh man.
Anyways, if I remember right, it's like an hour and 30 minutes from where I live. 6 miles from my house, there was a 212-inch killed.
What?
Yeah, last year.
Okay, so here's what we need to do. we need to do a Southeastern bow hunter and chest thumper collaboration. We'll come to you.
Swing through. Bring it on.
Let's get it.
Bring it on.
Dude,
Bring
How
it
much
on, dude.
property you
guys
got?
come up. Me? I hunt public, bro.
thank you.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Good. So
Yay.
we did an episode last night with a buddy of ours, and before that, I just want your opinion on this. Before that, we had gotten our first Instagram hater comment, which was interesting.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm waiting for the trophy in the mail. This dude, so you know, I'm like you. I'll be very honest about where I'm hunting at and what I do and all this other stuff. And in a few episodes, I name dropped the WMA that I hunt, which is 10 minutes from my house. That's all I've ever done. I don't say
You just did it again.
Spot. Huh?
You just did it again.
I didn't say the name, did I?
10 minutes from your house.
Whatever. There's 2 of them near me, so good luck. My point is, in previous episodes, you know, people that have hunted it that live close to me, we've talked about it, and I've told this story about a big deer that I saw in this public land spot, and I name drop it. I don't say where. I mean, it's 6,000 acres. You know, good luck finding it, but I didn't kill it. I mean, he ran off. That deer's still alive somewhere. And this guy went on Instagram and commented something saying, I'm the reason that public land sucks now because I'm name dropping places. And that, you know, he basically felt that because I'm name dropping certain areas, like that anybody has every right, just like the 3 of us do, to go and hunt it.
Sure.
I'm the reason why. And I don't want to harp on it too much because it's just a comment. I don't even know this guy, but
sure,
it got me thinking like what the outside opinion is. So how do you feel about people name dropping certain WMAs or public land that there's big deer on? I mean,
so it's very interesting. So like in my videos, if you watch any of the places where I'm public hunting and everything is public hunting, I specifically don't put my vehicle in it. I try not to blow up the parking lot where I'm at. Like I try to keep it as questionable as possible. For a couple of reasons. One, there was a time where people would recognize my vehicle, and I had 3 trucks that anytime I parked somewhere, when I came out, those same 3 trucks were in the parking lot. And that was for like almost 6 weekends straight. And the thing is, I am not a big buck killer, right? Like I'm not a Dan Infalt. Like I'm the kind of guy that'll go in the woods and shoot a doe and have the biggest shit-eating grin on my face dragging it out.
Amen. Amen.
So I don't know
Shut
why
up, Eric.
people are following
Amen.
I don't know why people are following me around anyways, but these guys are following me around.
Brown
So
is down.
That's right. So that kind of made me a little bit more cautious about putting my vehicle out there. Now my Tahoe has a big sticker in the back that says Chest Thumper Outdoors. So that's gone. But
yeah.
The other reason is I work really hard to find good spots on public land. And I totally understand the guy being a little upset about me blowing up a spot because I film and maybe they recognize that trail or that tree or that whatever. On the flip side of that, I'm also the type of person that if you come at me reckless, I'm going to start dropping pins on that public land to all of my favorite spots and hope they're your favorite spots also. Like if somebody got on my content and was rude to me because they feel like I'm ruining public land, my response would probably be like, well, just stop sucking and work harder.
Yeah. And that's kind of how I looked at it. I was like, look, man, you know,
it's public land. Get over
exactly. It. And I was just basically telling them, like, I'm not saying GPS coordinates. I'm not saying what, you know, exact spot. All I said was this public land spot that's thousands of acres. People know it's good. And you know how many times I've hunted it? I've never seen another person. Not one truck, not another guy. The only other person I ever saw out there was a squirrel hunter. So I don't know what part he's hunting. And it may not even be the one that I'm talking about. But it's like, clearly nothing's happening because I'm not seeing anybody. So
well, you didn't go to the right WMA because the last WMA that I went to was the best, I don't know, way of describing a WMA. I was on the ground hunting and I was 3 miles back and I had a jogger run over my legs.
Yes.
That's WMA hunting.
You're also near Atlanta. I'm in the sticks. Literally, our population is like maybe 10,000 people. Like there's not a lot of people out here.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just wanted your opinion because like, you know, I don't think, because he said he was like, you know, it's people like like you on podcasts and people that are, posting pictures in front of the sign. And what else did he say? He said something about a magazine. I'm like, look, even if I didn't do the podcast, that magazine's still going to do it. So
All right. Well, I'm not going
to
to name drop anything because I know what commenter or what person you're talking about. And I already told you that I do actually know him. He's saying that as a general thing, I believe, just because of the fact that I know the WMA that he actually hunts. It's not your WMA. It's the one that I used to hunt. But yeah, but because I've seen him out there before, and yeah.
Got it. All right. Well, I take back everything I said.
I don't. It's still public. Get over it.
Well, I thought he was on mine, but it makes
no.
more sense.
He's on mine.
Look, man. My response to that is, if you're having problems, if you're hunting public land and you're seeing a ton of people, drive further. Go to a public land that doesn't have a ton of people. I live in Illinois. Chicago's got like, I think 4 million people at this point or some crap. There are public pieces up by Chicago that are unbelievably overrun with hunters because it's close to a really metropolitan area.
Mm-hmm.
If you come down to the public land that I hunt, the public land that I hunt most is 16,000 acres. I hunt, generally speaking, 60 days a year. And I think twice I had somebody walk in on me last year.
When we get off of here, because I'm pretty familiar with the state, I'm curious to know like what area you're talking about.
Jim Edgar Panther Creek.
Where?
Jim Edgar Panther Creek.
I think I know where that's at.
It's over in Cass County. If you're familiar, it's like an hour away from Springfield, it's probably 20 minutes down the road from Petersburg. Like I said, dude, I'm not scared to talk about where I hunt.
Yeah.
Like I'll drop pins. I started filming. I did one of the archery shops I worked for. I did a workshop on how to just kill deer on public land, not giants, just kill deer. And I had satellite images of some of the places that I have actually killed deer on Jim Edgar, showing these people where I'm setting up my stand and stuff like that. 100% knowing and expecting that these people are going to go do it.
Yeah.
For every one spot I give away, I've got 7 that I've never told anybody about.
There you go.
Yep.
That's the way to do it. Yep. And that's one thing I was talking about last night is like, I have a couple main spots I'll go to, but those aren't the only ones. I've walked that entire, and the thing is too, I only hunt a quarter of this whole thing. Like I haven't even gone to the other parts yet. So I don't know, man, I could sit here and complain about it all the time. I'm just glad, people are listening, and the public land thing is something that will always be a debate. It's never going to end. So.
Well, it's always going to be divisive, and especially now, one thing hunting public did is make it cool to hunt public land again.
Mm-hmm.
And then also it's getting harder and harder to access private ground. So, I mean, I want people out hunting public land because I want hunters.
Yeah.
I want us to have big numbers because we're going to need big numbers or everything we love is going to go away.
Yep.
That's why I'll 100% give that speech or that lecture or seminar or whatever you want to call it and show people where I hunt. I will give you my phone number and say, hey, text me this deer season. I will take you out and show you where to hunt. I'll care.
Take that.
Deal. You guys come up and see me. We'll go.
Going to Illinois this year, boys.
All right.
I just, to me, getting people in the outdoors is way more important than anything else because I fully recognize the back end of not. And it can all go away. I mean, people look at how, not to get political, but look at how much things have changed just in the last 10 years with things that are acceptable to say in public, the vernaculars that we use. I mean, then we won't even get into mentioning
Biden, slow down.
Yeah.
No, it's a hunting podcast. This isn't Daily Wire, JD.
But just everything's changed so much, man. So like, I want to make sure we're preserving what we love, and then that means getting more people in the outdoors and showing people that we're not all just redneck jackasses getting shit faced and shooting stuff in the woods.
Yep.
Matter of fact, that's
okay. JD might, but you and I. No, I completely agree, man. Like when me and Waddell were talking about this, he said something similar, that he supports everything hunting, even if it's something he doesn't do, and. It's a big thing. Like I've had conversations with people that absolutely hate hunting. My mother-in-law, my wife's dad's wife, is a vegan. And every time I see her, she's like, so have you killed any deer? And I'm like, yeah, I have. You want to see them? And she goes, I can't believe you. And I'm like, don't start. Like, we've had this conversation, but you can't change people's minds sometimes, you know? So I just feel like, you know, we need to get more hunters out. I completely agree with you. And that was why, you know, just to, I guess, wrap the whole public land thing up. That was my biggest thing with it is it's public land. Anyone can go on it. Anyone can use it. If you want to hunt, go for it. You want to take your dog for a walk? By all means, go ahead. Don't let him off the leash. If he looks like a coyote, he might get shot. But you need to know that when you go out there. So it's just, I don't know, man. It's like I said, we could probably sit here for 5 hours just talking about every little detail with it. But
100%. Well, and you know, to step into the hunter recruitment talk, that's why I'm so like, you get people that just hate on content creators for hunting. Like, and I've heard a lot of, you're ruining hunting because you're making content and you're driving more people in the woods. And my response to that is no, more people need to make content because I mean, this is a kind of a similar conversation I've had to people that say, well, I want to start a YouTube channel, but nobody will watch. I'm going to tell you right now, somebody will watch. The reason I'm so pro content creator, and if you're a content creator and you want to reach out to me, I will talk your ear off about how to grow your channel, because that's my other obsession. I'm obsessed with three
I'll
things.
call you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do it.
We're both gonna call you, man.
That's fine.
The podcast is doing good.
With
YouTube, not so much.
Yeah,
I'm
we need your number.
archery. Deal. I'm obsessed with archery. I'm obsessed with bow hunting, and I'm obsessed with content creation. Those are my three things, man. Like, I study them. So I'm always willing to give people pointers and just talk everything, because there's enough pie for everybody. And you may be the one guy that gets that one person out in the woods, and that's huge. You know,
and so the other good thing is you do this for a living, so I won't feel like I'm bothering you.
Yeah, not at all. No, I'm never bothered by that. I'm never, you know, that's the other thing too, man. Like, and I'm not huge by any stretch, but I get a fair amount of people reaching out to me, and I get these people that are like, well, I'll quit bothering you now. Like, dude, you're not bothering me. You're letting me talk about stuff I love. That's never a bother. I don't care. I mean, I've been up till 2-3 o'clock in the morning texting people before about arrow builds.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, you and I were up until midnight last week talking about a bear hunt. So
yeah,
I know exactly what you're saying. It's 100% true. And
yeah,
like go back and forth, man, on the arrow build stuff, because your broadhead videos have helped me so much. Because there's a few I'm interested in, and I'm like, oh, that's such a cool broadhead. What does he have to say about it? And you're like, either use it or this is total trash. Don't even get it. And I'm like, all right, cool.
There's another thing I thought I saw on some piece of social media. It may be you, it may not be. I'm sorry, but because you look just like the guy in the picture, I don't know if it's you or not. Aren't you part with Sling as well?
With who?
Sling, the bow sling.
Jack gear.
Yeah.
So here's the story behind that. One of my very good friends is very good friends with the guy that owns Jack Deere. I do not like bow slings at all. He was mailing me some things, like some broadheads or whatever, and mailed me a bow sling. And he's like, look, dude, just try it out and do a review. It's a small business. Okay. I'm totally about supporting small businesses. So I tried it out and did a review. Of all the bow slings that I have ever tried, and there are some I haven't, I liked it the best.
Okay.
So I did a review and was like, hey, man, you know, if you're going to rock a bow sling, like, this might be the choice. You don't have to take it off your bow to shoot. It stays out of your way while you shoot. Like, it's a solid option.
Jack all the ones that I've tried are the ones you have to take off. You know, they cover the cam, and I like the neoprene ones. You know, I've tried those. I like them for what they do, but the process of what you have to do just to be able to get it out, I don't like any of that.
Correct. And that's my problem too, right? Like, now I have one more thing to fight with if I'm walking in and a deer crosses my path.
Yeah.
I don't like that. But I did like the Jack Gear sling because you don't have to. So I did a review, and then Jack Gear took that review and turned it into a Facebook ad.
Okay.
Well, they didn't get my permission to do that. So it ran for a little bit, and then they messaged me and like, so he did this thing. I'm like, yeah.
Obviously.
It's cool. Yeah.
Oh, no.
I'm like, I've seen it. It's cool. I don't care. And I don't care because again, it's a small business. Like, I want them to grow. I want them to succeed. You know, right, wrong, or otherwise, if it had been somebody like Faradigm, I'd have been like, where's my check?
Oh, 100%.
Right.
You're a
Yeah.
multi-million-dollar business.
Yeah.
Like, you don't just
Yeah.
get to use my likeness, but that's a small business. I'm totally cool with them using it.
Right.
While I'm saying this, I want to make this publicly known that does not give anybody that's a small business permission to use my likeness or my content without my permission.
Fine.
And I hate having to do that. But the last thing I want is to show up in some, like, I don't fucking alcohol ad or some bullshit. And it's just like, you never know. It's the internet. You just never know.
So can we post this video?
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Can I send your likeness to Bud Light?
Oh my God.
I'm gonna check. You think they cut me? Like, I'm not a Matthews fan, but if they paid me $100,000 a year, I could be.
Oh yeah.
What do you like?
Yeah.
I don't. So I'm not, when it comes to bows, like, I don't have a brand preference. I've owned pretty much every brand. Like, this year and last year I shot Darton. A lot of that's because I sell Darton. I'll be honest with you. Next year, if not by the end of this year, I'll probably own a Gearhead. I sell Gearhead also, and Skip is
Gearheads are awesome.
Dude. And the guy that owns Gearhead, his name's Skip. He is one of the most amazing human beings. I can say nothing but good things about that man. He works his ass off. Short story, just a short story, and then I'll quit praising him. When I worked in the shop, we had a kid come in. He had bought his uncle's bow. It wasn't an adjustable draw length. It was one of the cheaper bows. And this kid, like, it was way too much poundage. I called up, like, they had talked to Skip. Skip and I had talked, and I called him up one night to let him know that, hey, I need these parts because they're bringing me this bow down. Or rather, I texted him. It was like 10:30 at night. He calls me back 2 minutes after I get that text, and we talk on the phone for another hour and a half. We were up till midnight, and this guy owns a bow company. And I was like, dude, what are you doing awake? He's like, oh, I was out working on stuff anyways.
Huh.
As a dealer, when I'm getting that level of service, I can't say anything but good things about that company.
Yeah.
And then to take that farther, go ahead.
When is Gearhead going to start moving towards the hunting side versus just their target bows?
So Gearhead is probably primarily target. So you may be familiar with, like, their primarily hunting. You may be familiar with, like, their B36.
Yeah.
But really their bread and butter is like their B20, B24, and B30. And now they have a new bow out called the P30. It stands for pivot. And it's got a really cool limb system that increases the efficiency of the bow and reduces overall wear. Also smooths out your draw cycle some.
I'll have to check those out.
So they're actually really more, their bread and butter is the short axle bows, man. Like, the B24 is a badass little bow. I can't shoot it because of the string angle. I have a very good friend that films for Whitetail 365. He shoots it, and he's a stud with it. So
I've never even heard of him, so I'm gonna have to look him up.
I watched a guy. I'm not sure, it may be your friend. I don't know, but I watched a guy compete at Vegas with it, Lancaster Classic, with a Gearhead.
Yep, nope, that's not my buddy.
It was awesome.
He's not a competition dude. He's just a diehard hunter. But yeah, man. I mean, Gearhead is one of those small companies that doesn't have $5 million to drop into advertising, but they make a great product. There's a lot of cool stuff about them, but the cool thing,
that riser system is awesome.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing about Gearhead too, man. You either hate them or love them. People either say they're the ugliest bow they've ever seen or the coolest bow they've ever seen. And it seems like there's nothing in between.
Is Gearhead the one that's got, like, the hole in the middle of it?
Well, so a couple different companies do.
Oh, okay.
Gearhead almost looks like you remember Connects growing up, the little plastic bars that all clip together. That's kind of, or an erector set. Yeah. Like the Gearhead's nickname is the erector set bow because it kind of looks that way.
Yep.
But a lot of people don't know with Gearhead, you can take 8 bolts and you can take a right-handed bow and make it left-handed. So it's ambidextrous. You just take 8 bolts off and switch the handle around.
Wow.
Yep.
So there's stuff like that. Yeah, there's stuff like that. Again, Skip is just freaking salt of the earth, man. Like, nothing, and it's a family business. His wife and stuff do it with him.
No, he's looking at it. He's like, "What the hell?"
It's cool.
Oh, those bows! I didn't know. That's what they were called. Okay.
Yep. Gearhead.
Gotcha. Those things are badass, man.
I think they're awesome, and they shoot great. I have a YouTube short that did pretty well for me. It's the Gearhead B30,
Mhm.
28 inches at 77 pounds. It's a 520 grain arrow going at 298.
Wow.
Screamer, dude.
God.
Wow.
Screamer.
Now, did you shoot a fixed blade on that?
That
God.
wasn't even a hunting bow. That wasn't even a hunting bow, dude. It was just a bow I had in my shop, and I was like, I wonder what this thing can do.
Yeah, because I know you're big on like fixed blades from the videos I've watched. So I have to
Yep.
ask you this. Favorite broadhead?
I don't have one.
Oh, come on.
Dude, I hate to disappoint you, but that's
All right, top three.
Top 3.
I'll tell you what. If you would have asked me that question, 5 years ago, I could have spit out an answer at you that quick, no problem. The trouble with me answering that question now is I've tested so many broadheads and realized that the only thing that's a bad broadhead is an Allen.
I knew you were going to say that.
There's really not bad broadheads. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's some that aren't as good as others. For example, Muzzy 1. Like, I would never under any circumstances shoot that broadhead. It is the dullest broadhead I've ever tested out of the package, with the exception of the cold steel plastic broadheads.
Yeah.
But I mean, that thing, a Muzzy 1 brand new out of the package was like a 490 on my sharpness meter or something, which is obscene because I shoot for a 150. Like, I want to see 150 or lower. And it was 490. And then after testing it, it was like a 750 or something like that. So its edge retention's not very good either.
Can you not just sharpen them out of the box? I mean, I know you like, why would you buy a broadhead? You have to sharpen out of the box, but could you do that?
So yeah, 100%. The problem I have with designs like the Muzzy 1, the G5 Montec, which I get a lot of shit for that because I don't like the Montec. The Annihilator, I'm not an Annihilator fan either. And it's not that there's anything wrong with them necessarily. My issue is the blade angle is too shallow to truly get sharp. Those are all made to lay flat on a stone and be able to run them and sharpen them.
Mm-hmm.
They do that by having a 30-degree blade bevel angle.
Mm-hmm.
That 30-degree angle will never get sharp compared to something that's got a 25-degree angle. That's why I don't like them.
Well, you just broke JD's heart because he loves Montecs and Annihilators. So
rock them, dude. I'll never tell you you're wrong if they work for you and you rock them and you like them. Rock them. Like but I don't like them for those reasons. I will say there's a company called Innovative Outdoorsman. They have a sharpener called the 413 or the 314. I can't remember. It takes those bevel angles and it makes the bevel concave. So it allows you to get a much, much sharper broadhead because instead of having a standard blade angle, it concaves it. And you can get those type of broadheads really sharp. When you do that, that takes a broadhead like the Montec or the Annihilator and makes it infinitely better because now you have that strong pyramid style broadhead really sharp. So if you're willing to take the time to get that sharpener and sharpen it up, you have a much better broadhead.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean,
I'm just switching to field points. I'm tired of the broadhead argument.
I'm very partial to like Sever. I love Sever.
Okay.
G5 Mega Meat, love them. Q80 Exodus. I know you don't like them. I know. I saw the video.
Yeah.
I saw
Exodus is great.
Exodus is
Dead Meat's a good broadhead.
If I ever go away from mechanicals, which I don't see that happening unless I go for bigger game, because we just have white tails and stuff down here. And even when I go out west, I was telling you about that mule deer hunt. I'll probably take a Sever with me. But yeah, man, that Exodus, I put it up there with like Iron Will. And I know that's kind of maybe a controversial thing, but I mean, I have seen nothing but good things from that broadhead.
Okay, Dead Meat versus Mega Meat.
Dead Meat.
Why? And let me guess, it's the blade length.
It's just the blade durability overall. Mega Meat's blades, just the way they're designed, are not durable. They shear way too easy. They break off too easy.
Yeah. Whereas this guy last year, I had to replace him right afterwards, which I have no problem doing, but I get your point.
So now, are you talking about the OG Dead Meat or the new V2 Dead Meat that they have?
I've not messed with the V2. I've only messed with the OG.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So, but the OG, they just because it was a smaller cutting diameter, they can have more solid blades and still maintain that 100 grain weight.
Yeah.
So I shot a deer in the shoulder with a dead meat. I didn't kill her. She didn't die. It just bent the blade. I replaced the blades. All was kosher.
Huh.
Like I
Top
got
three
like,
expandables.
bro.
What'd you just say?
Top three expandable.
Oh man, you're gonna get this guy in trouble. You're gonna get us in trouble.
How about
No, I
that?
ain't.
No. First off, I can't be in trouble with anybody because nobody pays me. So second
Okay.
off, if they're paying me, they need to figure out that I'm still going to speak the honest opinion whether they like it or not.
As you should.
Yep.
I can tell you the 3 sharpest broadheads I've ever tested are mechanicals.
I believe that.
The sharpest broadhead I've ever tested is a company nobody's ever heard of. It's called True Blue Broadheads. They have something called the crossbreed.
Yep, I
Which
know
is
what you're talking about. I know
Yeah,
exactly
so
what
it's a
you're
cool
talking about.
system because you can take a mechanical 2-inch mechanical and screw another broadhead into the top of it, and you can make yourself a 200 grain like nasty broadhead if you're shooting heavy up front, or you can shoot it as a 125 standard expandable. But they are the sharpest out of the box I've ever tested. The next sharpest after them is Severs. It's kind of a tie because there's like 3 other mechanicals I've tested that are all 125, but
Yeah.
Severs are a 120. The crossbreeds were 100. The Severs were a 125. I tested the Rage Tripan NC. Was it the Tripan? Maybe it was the hypodermic. It was one of those. Is a 125, and then the Slick Trick Torch, which I've not released that video yet. So spoiler
Ooh.
alert, it's a 125 also.
I'm excited to see that video because when that broadhead came out, I think it was like last year. I'm not a huge fan of like the broadhead or the expandables that fold over. I don't really like those.
Right.
I know Grim Reaper
Fair
makes
enough.
some good ones, and JD loves Schwacker, so he's on the other side of the fence. But yeah, when they came out with that,
Spence, I'll hop over there and whoop your ass.
hey, you got to drive 2 hours, so bring it. But yeah, no, I just I don't know, man. I mean, I'm very picky, and that's why I like your videos so much because you're just honest about the broadhead, and like we just said, I like the mega meat. You weren't a fan of it. Perfectly fine. And
Yep,
hey,
100%.
yeah, and it kills deer. I mean, Pickles right there
Sure.
killed him.
Yeah.
So, it is what it is. And like I agree with you, Allen is complete trash. And I'm not trying to bash any company, but I've shot them and they're terrible. And
it's not bashing if it's true.
yeah, true. That's very true.
I get guys are all the time like, man, I'm not going to bash this company. Well, are you bashing or is it just something that is a fact? The reason Allens are bad is because there's no structural integrity and they never spin true. That's why
Yeah.
Allens are bad. I've bought more packs of Allens than probably anybody you'll ever meet because I would love to find broadheads that are $13 a 3-pack that I can tell people that don't have much money to go spend money on and be confident that it's not going to just maim the deer.
Mhm.
It just doesn't exist. Like the closest you're going to get to that is every now and again you'll find some Muzzy drill cars on Amazon for like $20.
Yeah. When you
And
mentioned
those are
something
great
about
broadheads.
Mossy Oak rebranding the Slick Trick, what is it, Grizz Trick, I think? Grizz Trick 2?
Yeah, it's the Grizz Trick. They call it the
Yeah.
Mossy Oak Afflictor.
See, I've looked in Walmart out here and I don't see them.
Never.
It's always
See,
Rage, Schwacker, Muzzy,
Yep.
I think Montex. That's all I've ever seen over there.
So if you're gonna go to a Walmart and that's all you have for a sporting goods store, most of Walmart sell Muzzy trail cars, even if they're the full $40 a 3-pack, totally worth it. Great broadhead for the money.
Now,
Yeah,
speaking of that, in my Walmart, the trail cars, the only one I can find are the crossbow ones.
oh,
It's the trail car, but it says for crossbow. So is it because of the ferrule width is wider, or will it still work for me?
It'll absolutely still work for you. Yeah. So the only difference between most fixed blade broadheads that say crossbow and not is the ferrule diameter. And as long as the ferrule diameter is the same diameter or larger than your arrow, you're solid. You don't want smaller because then you'll have penetration issues.
Yep.
Right.
But if you look at a trail car crossbow and a standard trail car, they're the same damn broadhead. The only difference between them is it says crossbow.
Yeah, and I mean my mega meats I
Okay.
have upstairs. Both, when I ordered the replacement blades, it came with the compound bow collar and it came with the crossbow collar. So
Yep.
It's the same
It's the only
thing.
difference.
I've been wanting to try those show cars forever, but I just haven't because it says crossbow and I was too worried about it.
No. So before
Okay.
you go to your Walmart and buy them, check out on Amazon because the crossbow ones are usually the ones you can find around $20 on Amazon.
Okay.
I bet you I bought 10 to 12 packs of those last year and gave them away to guys who were like, I just can't afford good broadheads.
Hey,
Lady
all right, have we met? Have we met yet?
I can,
Oh my god!
like, just so you know, you guys are getting a friend that probably has too many broadheads anyways. So if I can send you stuff to shoot stuff with, I'm not opposed to
Yes.
doing that.
Okay. Okay.
I
We
love
are not
tinkering.
opposed to trying them out.
Yeah,
Because,
yeah.
well, so it's like I test so many damn broadheads every year, I can't shoot enough animals.
Mhm.
So if I can send them
Yeah.
people who will shoot them, that'll take pictures and stuff for me so that I can do write-ups and add that to the testing, I'm happy
Okay,
to do so.
I'm releasing all of my public review rights. I will just send you dead animal pictures.
Works for me, man.
All right,
Works for me.
Oh,
you can have your own reviews.
You can review them too. I don't care. Take the pack that I send you and review them. Whatever.
that's hilarious.
I just shoot. Give me wound pictures. That's all I care about.
He just wants
Absolutely,
the
we'll do
pictures, JD. So that leads me into something I'm curious about. Actually, I have two questions. I'll ask you the first one. We'll get around that, and I'll get to the second. But what is your current arrow setup? What are you comfortable with taking, say, on a whitetail hunt?
So this year, I'm gonna have two different arrow setups and just kind of pick whichever one. I'm not sure yet. But this year so far, I've been shooting the Black Eagle X Impact with their 80 grain focus system up front. That's what I killed my bear with. They perform well. They fly well. I'm happy with them. I don't see any reason to change. On the other side of that, I'm kind of working on a video where it's like the most obnoxiously expensive arrow build I can make without being ridiculous. So like if you want to go ridiculous, Bishop Archery sells, they've got a arrow kit. It's a dozen arrows. It's $1,700. And then Bishop
Whoa.
Archery, oh yeah. And then
Why?
Bishop Archery sells heads that are $700. So you can go unbelievably ridiculous with this.
This is probably why I haven't heard of Bishop.
Bishop's big thing is all their metallurgy and what their heads are made of is proprietary, and it's way above anything else you're going to buy anywhere else. On the flip side, there is no reason in the world to pay that much for broadheads.
No.
Zero.
See,
So
that's
I don't see
crazy,
any
'cause,
reason
like,
to buy iron wheels.
yeah, I mean,
I agree.
I watch John Lusk's videos a lot. You know, his broadhead review stuff.
Yep.
And he'll sit there and be like, "Yeah, I'm shooting a Bishop," and I'm like, "Why have I not heard?" I mean, I know the name, but it's like, dude, $1,700 for a kit. I mean, what are they made out of? But I mean, really,
Platinum.
A lot of their, well, again, so a lot of that price cost is in their components and their inserts and stuff like that because it's all their proprietary metallurgy.
Okay.
Same with the broadheads. It's all proprietary metallurgy that nobody else can possibly have. And, solid. And if you're the guy that's going to go spend money on it, good for you. I'm happy for you. But to me, that's freaking ridiculous.
Yeah.
$700 for
they're spending all of their money on their components and their broadheads, and they're relabeling a Carbon Express carbon arrow and selling it for $1,700.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's how it is. And that's not to talk poorly about Bishop necessarily, but that's just kind of the nature of the business.
Yeah, I've seen a few, like I know Cabela's and stuff, their brand arrow is just a gold tip. It's a gold tip that may or may not have passed inspection, and they throw blackout on it. And then like my first bow is a blackout.
Yep.
All it is a bear. It came in a bear box. And I open it. I'm like, oh, did they send me the wrong one? And I look at it. I was like, oh, that's who makes it. Okay.
And before that, you had Bass Pro had the Redhead line. Redhead was made by Bowtech, or Diamond rather. So one of my best friends, his first bow ever was a Redhead Chronic. I spent a lot of time working on that thing. Yeah. I mean, that's
Prime and G5. It's all the same. And Mission and Matthews, they're the same.
Yep. Prime has Quest, Bowtech has Diamond, Matthews has Mission, Hoyt is Hoyt, PSE is PSE, Bear is Bear.
Yep.
So I mean,
absolutely,
but
absolutely,
yeah. So, G5's newest arrows, they're not
The mark.
relabeled yeah, so they're not relabeled Carbon Express arrows. However, they are made in the exact same factory. And if you look up the specs on a lot of Carbon Express arrows, they match and mimic the prime arrows.
So, dude,
Point
I gotta
case.
ask you this. I didn't even think of this till you just said that. Ranch Fairy came out with a video a while back talking about Carbon Express's spine chart.
Mm-hmm.
Is it true? And does it? I can't seem to make sense out of this, but he claimed that a 400 spine arrow is the same strength as a 250 spine, according to them.
It's not. Okay, so that's not true in that they're the same strength. What he's meaning and what he's talking about is carbon. So, for example, Black Eagle, Victory Eagle, basically every arrow company on the planet, a 200 spine is stiffer than a 400 spine.
Mm-hmm.
Carbon Express flip-flops that. A 400 spine is stiffer than a 200 spine. They're the same spine rating, they just label it different. And I'll tell you exactly why they do that. It's because with their proprietary labeling system, if you buy a Carbon Express arrow from, we'll say, Bass Pro, you're probably going to stay shooting the same arrow, because if you go anywhere else and tell them you need a 400 spine arrow, they're going to give you an arrow too weak. So it's a way to try to force you to continue to shoot and utilize their product. Straight up, I do not like Carbon Express, and the reason why is they can't do anything like anyone else. So, for example, industry standard 245 or 6, 204, 166, or 165. Those are your diameters.
Mm-hmm.
Carbon Express is 244, 203, and then 165. So the only thing Carbon Express does the same as everyone else is the micro diameter arrows. And what that does is it forces you to use their components in their arrows. Otherwise, you destroy their arrows.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Huh. That explains a lot.
So,
when I started building arrows, I had Carbon Express, and like I was shooting blood sports before I switched to Easton. And I mean, I like blood sports; they're not bad.
sure.
But I don't know who. I mean, I don't know if they're owned by another company. I don't know where they're made. I don't know anything about them. But I have had some insert issues where it says 244 insert, and it says it's 244 arrow, but when I go to put it in, it gets stuck and it won't fit. And I've cut it fine, I've cleaned it, everything's perfect, and it won't go in. I have no idea.
Yes, that's just going to be for quality control in the manufacturing. Bloodsport arrows are made in China. They are owned by.
A good job, Eric.
I don't shoot them anymore.
It's an investment group.
Yeah,
it's an investment group. I don't remember which investment group they're owned by, but they're owned by an investment group. And I mean, the vast majority of arrow companies are. I mean, you've got Easton, Victory, Black Eagle are all independent companies.
Yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
then you get into like Carbon Express is owned by Faradyne. Like Bloodsport is owned by, I don't remember, maybe Arcus. I don't remember. But yeah, I mean, that's not uncommon. If you look at most companies people enjoy in the industry are probably owned by investment groups. And usually you'll have a company that makes a great product, and then they'll get bought by an investment group, and that investment group will cheapen up the process, keep the prices the same to increase profitability, and then you start seeing that great product kind of go downhill.
Mm-hmm.
Prime example, Slick Trick. The Slick Trick Mag was my favorite broadhead of all time for many years. When it was privately owned, they had German Lutz blades.
Yep.
The outdoor group bought Slick Trick, moved everything across seas, and not that the Mag is a bad broadhead, but the blades just aren't even in the same ballpark.
Huh.
Yeah.
Another one, Ramcat. When that was privately held, Brett was the owner's name. He's since passed, unfortunately, but when that was privately held, they were an amazing broadhead. I believe it's Arcus that bought them. It's not even in the same ballpark now.
That's crazy.
I'm
still
so
a good
glad I
broadhead.
shoot Easton and Sever.
Still a good broadhead.
Yeah.
But it's just not what it was, you know.
That's so crazy. Well, you mentioned something earlier about all the arrow sizes you touched on, or I guess you mentioned the 4 mil or 166, 165,
Yep.
whatever. What's your opinion on those? Because that's what I'm shooting right now is 4 mils. And I mean, I personally think that they're flying. I mean, they're flying great. I like them a lot. I didn't have to do much adjusting. But just in a general sense, not even, yes, they're Easton, but I'm a huge fan of Easton, Sever, all of that. But what's your opinion on the 4mm movement? Because I feel like a lot of guys are going with, micro.
So anytime I build a lot of arrows, like that's a big part of what I do is build custom arrows.
Mhm.
And I always try to get something for a guy that's going to really fit what they need. And you'll find the vast majority of guys don't need a 4mm. So one thing I always like to do, whether it's a broadhead or an arrow, is why do you want to go there?
Mhm.
And it's like, if I have a guy that gets a hold of me and he's like, I'm kind of on a budget, but I want a 4mm arrow. Okay, well, why do you want a 4mm arrow?
Because everyone's got it.
And that's a lot of it, right? Because his
Yep.
favorite guy, it is. His
Yeah.
favorite guy on YouTube said that that's what he should shoot. Well, I can take your budget and give you a much higher quality 204 diameter arrow that'll do everything you need to do and still save you a few extra bucks so you can get another pack of broadheads or something like that, or add some lighted knocks.
See, what's funny about you saying that is, like, I've asked 2 people now that are big in the industry, and I said, hey, this is what I'm running. Do you think, because I mean, as far as penetration goes, like, I don't buy into the smaller diameter, meaning you get more penetration in an animal. I think the wind resistance thing, maybe, but everyone I've asked has always said, oh, we prefer 204 or 246 or 245, or like a standard and then 204. Yep. So hearing you say that, that's 3 people now. So what is it about 204?
There's the biggest thing for me, I can't answer for everybody else, but the biggest thing for me is there's more component options. So I can really dial in that arrow to exactly what I want. Okay. It's also, if you shoot lighted knocks, a micro diameter lighted knock, with the exception of fire knock, they pretty much all suck. Really? They break easy. The biggest thing is the durability is not there. I'm a big nocturnal guy until you get to 166. I'm going to tell you, if you're shooting a micro diameter arrow and you don't mind spending money, buy fire knock, because it is hands down the best on the market. They're expensive. They're like $70 a 3-pack. If you don't want to spend that money, your next best option is going to be the Halo lighted knock.
Yep. Those are the ones I'm looking at. I was hoping you would say that.
Yeah. So Halos are great. Just be careful when you're putting it in, because if they fit tight, it's very easy to break them off the stem.
Yeah.
So the 166, the micro diameter lighted knock has not been perfected. So if you're a guy that wants lighted knocks, you're better off to just shoot a 204. I film everything. I prefer 204 because I want my lighted knocks, and also because, again, there's more component options. This year I'm trying a 165 out just because. And actually, the other arrows I'm looking at building are a nano diameter arrow. They're 0.122 outer diameter.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You're shooting a damn toothpick.
Essentially. It's a heavy toothpick, though. They weigh more. They're heavier grains per inch than my X impacts are.
So with the smaller diameter, something that I've, kind of, like I said, I went from 244 to 166. Something I was worried about would be the structural integrity, because now you're shooting something much skinnier. And is that something that, like, people have noticed? Like, have you noticed that with smaller diameter arrows that they just aren't as strong, or is it?
No,
it's your wall thickness.
Yep. That's exactly spot on. The wall thickness is what matters. And generally speaking, smaller diameter arrows have a heavier or a higher wall thickness, because you have to have that to get the stiffer spine.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay.
That's why your smaller ones are also a heavier GPI too.
Generally speaking,
yep. Ethan, because and granted, I didn't pick them; they sent them to us. But when I had Gary from Easton on, like, what was it, JD, like a month ago, and I told him, I'm like, I started off with Easton, I got away from it because a lot of the arrows are very heavy, and I like high FOC. I think I'm running 20% now with the micros. And he was like, oh man, well, we have these ones, they're like 8.3 GPI, and we can just send me whatever specs you have. I was like, shit, all right, cool.
Yeah.
And we've been talking back and forth, and I told him, I'm like, dude, these things are flying great. I didn't have to adjust the bow much, like I said earlier. But the biggest thing for me is, and y'all just explained it, so now that's out the window. But at first I'm like, man, these are so much skinnier. What am I going to do if it hits something hard and it just flexes and just snaps like that? But it makes sense with the wall thickness that, obviously that's not going to happen.
Well, my answer to you is they're arrows. They're made to be shot. They're made to break. Like there's this whole movement going on right now where it's like I want broadheads that don't break, don't bend, don't do anything. I want arrows that don't break, don't bend, don't do anything. And I'm just wondering when
Grab a gun.
when did it become a thing that those aren't not necessarily throwaway resources, but when did it become a thing that those are supposed to be a never-ending resource after you buy them once?
Yeah. I mean, hell, look at the new I think it's it's Easton. The new Pro Comps.
Yeah.
I mean, they bend because they're aluminum with carbon surrounding it.
Yeah.
Well, that's FMJs do the same thing. I am one of the most anti FMJ guys you'll ever meet, and it's because I shot them and I'm tough on things, and I bent an entire quiver of FMJs lowering my bow to the ground. So basically what happened is when I lower my stuff down, my bow and my pack go together and it gets lowered down at the same time.
Mhm.
And the arrows hit the ground first, and then my pack hit the bow, and I have like a 30-pound pack because of all my filming gear.
Mhm.
And the way it depressed against the hill, it actually bent all 6 of those arrows to the point I couldn't use them anymore.
Wow. That's crazy.
That hunt was over.
Yeah, I mean, I've never shot FMJ. I don't like the idea of having, again, it's not anything against the idea. I just don't really subscribe to the whole having metal and carbon on the same playing field with it's, what it goes down like an arrow. I feel like
I just don't like the GPI.
Well, that's another problem. And I don't understand. Like I've heard a lot of people talk about, if you want high FOC, get like a lower GPI, which is why when the blood sports, they're 7.9 and you can get a lot of FOC out of those things.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's a movement coming with the whole FOC trend people are on, that a lot of these companies are going to start making arrows with lower GPI and hopefully, be stronger, because I know if you shoot like a super low GPI, there's probably a good chance that arrow could splinter because it's not as thick. So, I mean, what do you think the sweet spot would be?
I don't think the companies are going to start making anything in a lower GPI, because then you lose your structural integrity way too much.
So that's the balancing act overall, right? You have to find something that's going to appease the public, and then at the same time, you don't want it to where the public's constantly emailing you about how your stuff's junk, and then you have a big problem on your hands.
Yep.
That's kind of the teeter-totter they play. To play devil's advocate, though, I think the FOC thing is going to not necessarily go away, but it's going to slowly die down. And a lot of it's going to be because a lot of people are going to find out that for the vast majority of hunters, it doesn't make a huge difference. I've been down that road. 3 years ago, I built 7 dozen arrows building high FOC systems to find one that would tune right out of my setup. What I landed on was a system that was 23.4% FOC at 523 grains total arrow weight. Shot great. Killed animals with it. The following year,
how did you get that much FOC with that much total weight?
Little secret for you. Victory has an arrow called the RIP XV. A 300 spine is 7 grains per inch.
The extreme velocity 7.
Yep.
Oh my God.
A 300 spine is 7 grains per inch. So when you put 320 grains in the front of that, you can get really high FOC.
Huh. See, that's got me thinking, because I know Cam Haynes used to shoot FMJs, and there's no way you're getting super high FOC with that, but he never had any issues. So I've always wondered how important it is. Like I've asked T-Bone 1,000 times, like, what's more important, arrow weight or FOC? And he always, I don't know why I ask him all the time, but he's like, the same answer. Perfect balance is what you want, and accuracy always wins. But I kind of agree with you. I mean, I do see, the FOC thing, it is a big thing now. And I think it's, that's why I was saying earlier, like it's going further and further. I hear about it all the time, but eventually you're probably right. It's probably going to start dying down a bit, because if you don't notice much of a difference between 20% and 12%, why, you know what I mean? Like, why go to that extreme?
I'll give you the top 3 reasons it's going to die. One is because of what we just covered. most hunters are not going to see that huge of a difference. That's number one. And the reason I say that is because I've talked to a lot of hunters, and most hunters shoot further back than they do further forward. Most guys are going to shoot a deer in the liver and guts before they're going to shoot a deer in the shoulder, because we were always taught to stay away from that shoulder. That shoulder will stop your broadhead, it'll stop your arrow, it'll tear your stuff up. So most guys are going to shoot back. That's actually why I say most guys would probably benefit from a mechanical broadhead versus a fixed head. What most guys would really benefit from is practicing, but that's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
The second reason FOC is going to go by the wayside is because it's not easy. And what you'll get is a lot of people that are new starting out that don't fully conceptualize and understand arrow building and spine and dynamic spine. And they're going to try to build high FOC setups that won't tune out of their bow, that aren't going to shoot. They're going to get frustrated. They're going to go to a local shop and just buy some standard arrows, and that'll be the end of it. To kind of tie that in, to properly build an FOC setup, generally speaking, it's pretty expensive. Like I said, it took me 7 dozen arrows to get that high of an FOC and have it still tuned. You know, I mean, I probably spent $700, $800 that year on arrows, and that's
and your components alone, the FOC is expensive.
Exactly. So the average guy, and that's who I tailor my content to, is the average guy. That's why I review bows like the Sanlita X8 Dragon bow that's $199 on Amazon, because that's something that's not out of the price range for most guys, and you can absolutely take that bow and kill a deer with it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, and I've heard some stuff about that, and like, is the draw weight based off your draw length?
Yes.
Okay. So if you're 28 inches, what's the max draw weight you think you can get?
64 pounds or 65 pounds.
Okay.
Is what I could get out of it.
That's
enough. It's plenty.
I mean, I'm shooting 60 pounds at 28, so
30 pounds is plenty. Yeah. As long as you build the right arrow and broadhead and have the good broadhead selection, 60 is plenty.
Man, dude, we could probably go for hours on this crap.
So the third reason is because the people that are presenting the information about high FOC are super polarizing, and there's some people that'll never listen to them no matter what.
Yeah. That's very true.
Those are the 3 reasons why FOC will eventually go by the wayside. You'll have your diehards that stick to it, but it's gonna do what most archery trends do. It'll come up and it'll go down.
Yeah. Just like the mechanical thing, where everybody, when they first came out and Rage came along and they were like, oh, mechanical this, mechanical that. And then they started having failures. Things weren't working.
Now it's all going back to fixed blade.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, yeah, that is true. I mean, I feel like the industry goes, in waves. I mean, you get
100%
speed bows, and then you get the heavy arrow setups. And I mean, I went down the rabbit hole too. You can ask JD. Last year I shot, I think it was a 515 grain arrow with 14%. And I mean, it killed a deer, and it got lodged in the offside shoulder with a 2-inch 3-blade mechanical. So it did the job, but it wasn't firing correctly. And
that's not good.
Yeah. I didn't know that until he pointed it out.
So bow tuning is the number one thing too. Like, if you want to kill deer more effectively and you want to build a more effective setup, spend time learning how to properly tune your equipment, and then worry about what broadhead you're shooting, what arrow you're shooting. I had that high FOC setup. I killed deer. Great. The next year I shot probably a 12% or 11% FOC, 475 grain arrow, and killed deer just fine also. The deciding factor between all of that is I was putting the arrow where it was supposed to go.
Yep.
Period. That's like, people ask me now, man, like, oh, how do you build your arrows, thinking that because I build so many arrows, there's some secret. Well, first off, if you want to see the quality of arrows I build, never look at mine, because mine look like trash. They look like they were cobbled together by somebody. I don't have time to focus on making my arrows. I got a hot glue gun. Watch this. Yeah, exactly. Maybe some duct tape. I don't have time to make my arrows look pretty. I'm worried about making everybody else's stuff look pretty.
Yeah. Look, I was a mechanic for 17 years, and it was the same way with me. My car was the worst, but I never had one come back from a shop.
Bingo. Straight up. The other end of that is I decide what arrow I'm going to shoot or build based on how I feel. Like, I'm shooting an X Impact this year just because. I don't have any other good reason. Like, I just felt like building some X Impacts and shooting them. Same with those Nanos. I was like, that's different. Like, let's just build some of those and see what happens.
Yeah.
I'm interested in those nanos, man. I want to see how small these things really are.
I'll
'Cause I
send you
didn't
some pictures.
imagine- Yeah.
Oh
please.
yeah. So here's the thing. They're
Next to
called
a toothpick.
They're I'll send it to you next to you can almost fit that arrow inside an X impact. Like it's very close.
Holy crap.
So I'll I'll quell your interest very quickly. They're called the Black Eagle Revelation. They're $375 a 12 pack.
Damn.
So I'll tell you
Good
why.
job, Canton, Georgia.
They are not made to be hunting arrows. They are actually made for high level Olympic style
Yeah.
archers, whether it be compound or recurve. They're made for people that are making their living shooting extremely well.
Huh.
Just so happens Black Eagle makes a focus system for these revelations, which means I can screw in a standard broadhead, which means I'm going to build some to hunt with.
Yep.
That's what that is. They're not made for hunting at all. When I told my Black Eagle rep I wanted a dozen, he's like, "Why?" I said, "Well, I need the focus system too." And he's kind of like, "You're actually going to build them for hunting, aren't you?" I said, "Yeah, I just decided I'm going to do it." So
Hilarious, dude. Man, that's
it's
honestly that's why I'm such a big fan of your shit, because you just do whatever you want to do and you're honest with it. And if it works, great. If not, oh well.
Yeah.
You're not like tied down by a bunch of stuff, and being like, oh, this is the best when you don't even shoot that arrow.
Yeah, first off, my big thing is I'm spending the money on things so the average Joe doesn't have to. I mean, I spent $17,000 on archery equipment last year.
Out.
I would be divorced.
So
yeah.
it's a business expense.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Smart.
I get to write that all off, but that
Yeah.
doesn't mean I don't have to pay for it.
Oh,
You know,
well,
but like
Right.
so I spend all of that money. I mean, I spent probably $4 or $5 grand on broadheads alone last year. And I spend all of that money so that guys can watch my stuff and go, well, that's not going to suit me. That would be a waste of my money to try out. But that looks like it could do what I needed to do. So I'll spend it there instead.
Yeah.
Like,
All right, so
I grew up.
What?
You've piqued my interest again on the whole getting back to the broadhead thing with the since I can use the trocars.
Yeah.
What's your honest opinion on the trocars?
They're one of the top 5 broadheads I would recommend for anybody that wants a fixed blade.
watch
Okay.
his
Second
YouTube.
question: how many do you have?
I don't know. I can look for you though.
And I have watched his YouTube, asshole.
I'll send you some if you need. I don't care, dude. I probably have. Well, I'll put it this way. I just had a company. A friend of mine just bought a broadhead company. He sent me 6 packs of their broadheads. It's the Northern Broadhead Company. They're really big in Australia. He's bringing them to the U.S. Like he's the owner now.
Nice.
He sent me 6 packs of their broadheads because I'd heard of them but never played with them.
Right.
I'm going to be getting here soon. I will be getting a prototype from him that's not on the market yet. So I can't talk about that other than to say I'm getting a prototype.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for it, by the way. So hopefully, I think he said August 1st is when it fully releases, and then I can talk a lot more about it. I think it's going to be a really good fit for a lot of people.
All right, we have dibs on you for when that drops. You're coming on here first.
Yep.
Anything else?
Yep, dibs.
Well,
Awesome.
let me ask you this. Do you want me or do you want him? Because I can get you him.
Why not both?
Okay. I mean, it's up to you guys. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I'm good with you. Either one.
Okay. So, but yeah, I mean, that's 6 packs of broadheads. 2 of them are for giveaways. So on my TikTok here soon, I'll be giving away a couple packs of Northern broadheads in conglomeration with him. 1 is a pack for me to test, and then he just sent me an extra pack for if I want to hunt with him or whatever. Those are 6 packs of broadheads. That's probably a 10th of what I have just laying around the house. Like,
that's insane, dude.
We're not at that level yet, Eric.
Yeah, I'm getting there, but we're not there yet.
So more cool stuff. And this is, you guys are getting an exclusive here because this is the first place I've ever publicly talked about it.
All right, everybody
Hold on,
listen.
wait,
If you're
wait.
driving, pause and
Da-da-da,
listen to what he has to say.
So-
All right, let's go.
So 8 or 9 years ago, I owned a company called Red Feather Archery. When I bought the company, I designed a mechanical broadhead. I sold the company, bought back the mechanical design. I'm getting ready to partner up with a company that I'm not going to discuss. That broadhead in the next 2 years will finally be brought to market. So I will have my broadhead that I designed brought to market within the next 2 years.
Can you
Nice.
show me what the design is? I won't share it. I'm just because I love broadheads, dude. I'm so
I might,
interested.
if I can get, let me see if I can find some NDAs and then I can have you guys sign them and I can show you.
Okay. Yeah, because
Non-disclosure agreements.
I love
Mhm.
like, you know, when new stuff comes out. Like I know Seek One was talking about making a broadhead and all that.
Mhm.
Haven't seen anything yet. I like to tinker, man. I mean, if there's
Sure,
something
that's
new on
me.
the market, you know, I had a
Yeah.
guy send me a broadhead, a test broadhead. And I'm not going to say the name, I'm not going to say the brand, but I shot it 3 times, pulling it out of the target. The blades were bent like that, curled out. And I'm like, all right, can't shoot. I can't hunt with it. So just put it away. And I mean, it is what it is, you know, but the designs that have been coming out lately, like obviously Sever with the locking blades, the True Blue crossbreed that you were talking about, just a bunch of the new stuff that's been coming out. It's interesting to see. Like I've seen some Amazon broadheads that John Lusk has tested, and I'm like, if an American company actually did that right, it'd probably be a badass broadhead.
Yep.
But for whatever reason, everyone seems to. I mean, there's, like I said, there's new things coming out, but a lot of it is sort of based off old stuff. And I feel like there needs to be a new thing that comes out that's just nothing like what anyone else is selling, you know?
The problem with the industry is the guys that complain that nothing ever changes and there's never anything new will also turn around and immediately start bashing anything that's new and different than what's in the market.
It's true.
Seen it time and time again. I've seen it a ton.
So without, I know you're honest, and I love the fact that you're honest, but
yeah,
I know it's not bashing, but it's honesty. Do you sell Eastons?
Yeah, I sell Easton.
What is your thought on the Sonic 6.0?
As far as like a budget arrow goes, Easton makes a super quality arrow. With all of Easton's budget arrows, if you kind of look at them when you cut them, there's some fiberglass involved. That's what helps with the durability. Not that that's a knock on their arrows at all, because it helps with the durability a lot. But there's nothing wrong with them. I sell a ton of the Easton Bowhunter 6.5s, and they're an even more budget arrow than the Sonic 6.0s.
Oh yeah, that's what I started with, and then got away from it because, long story short, they were built about 325 grains, and I didn't know it. So, and I'm shooting 40 pounds back then. I mean, it was a nightmare. But yeah, man, look, I don't want to take up too much of your time. We literally could sit here and just discuss everything archery. So we need to get you back on because I'm telling you what, dude, this episode, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really did, because I've learned a lot.
When is MAF coming back?
So my next MAF event, I leave Monday. It's in Montana, and then that's the last one for the year. You guys in Georgia, so October, November every year is when we establish our schedule. So you'll start seeing on the social medias what those dates are.
Okay.
And I can let you guys know too when I find out.
Dude, sure. Let us know, because we're kind of trying to do, like I said, we're going to.
And your ass better come down to the Georgia one.
I'll be at every MAF event every year until they fire me. So
yeah, I mean, we want to start going around and meeting a lot of people. Like we're going to be at the World Deer Expo next week down in Birmingham, and I think we're supposed to go to the WCB shoot next year. There's a traditional archery shoot down here. Like we're just trying to get out there and meet everyone that we can. And you are one of those few people that can sit here and honestly say how you feel about a product without it being a bashing session. It's just what you've experienced and what you've seen, and you watch the videos and they're all the same way. And that's why they were so helpful. And I know they were helpful for other people, because I see the comments, and you know, it's not like a product ad in your stuff. You're not saying, oh, it's the best broadhead.
Yep.
And then someone buys it, shoots it, it bounces off a deer, and they're like, what the hell? You know?
Well, I can tell you straight up, you know, in 2 years, my broadhead drops. I promise you I will still be shooting other broadheads.
Really?
Why? Just
Good one.
I like new stuff. I like to
Yeah.
tinker. I like trying things. And just because it's my broadhead doesn't mean it's the end all be all of broadheads. Like my name doesn't make it anything special except for the fact that I'm proud that I designed it.
See,
You know, I'm sure
right
that
there, man. That's why I respect you so much.
that
because-
broadhead, I'm sure that broadhead comes out and there's going to be a guy that's like, this is the biggest piece of shit I've ever shot. And I'm going to message that guy and go, okay, what did you hate and what can I make better?
And
Yep.
that is how it should be. That's exactly how it should be.
And then if he can't give me a good reason other than he just thinks it's junk, well, then thank you for your time. Like I get comments like that all the time. And to be honest, they drive me nuts. But I'll post a video and be like, junk. Like, why? Because it's junk.
Okay.
All right. Like I'm not gonna argue with you, dude. My energy is more valuable than that, but it does give me that Forrest Whitaker eye. Like it
Oh no.
it drives me
God,
nuts.
dude.
Because
Yeah, haters gonna
yeah.
hate, man. I mean,
Well, and that's exactly right. That's why I said congratulations on your first hate comment, dude. Because
yeah,
if you're getting hate comments, you're doing something right.
I know, and
That is
not
I
my
was trying
first.
so hard not to be an asshole and just be like, "Thanks for listening, man. Appreciate it," and then just leave it. But I think on the next one, I either won't say anything or I'll say something like, "Hey, thanks for listening." You know.
So it's an interesting thing, right? Because sometimes I just let the comment roll. And what's really cool is as you gain more in following, what you'll see is guys that are fans of yours will argue with those people for you. And it's
Mhm.
like, that's fucking cool, man. Like you think enough of me to stick up for me. Like
Yep.
that's a super cool
Yep.
thing to me. But for me, I go through these things where it's like sometimes I just leave it be and like I don't have time for this. Other times I've got this little like monster or demon in my head that's like fucking poke the bear, poke it.
That is so me. Oh,
Yeah.
Eric has to tell me
Sometimes.
not to say shit or to calm down
God,
all the
dude.
time, but I'm one of those that I will poke it as hard as I can.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Every
so
time, dude.
sometimes I'm arguing with those guys just for fun because I know they're gonna get way more mad than I'm gonna get.
Yep.
And like, I mean,
I got nothing better to do.
Here's the other end of it, right? So if you go back and watch some of my TikTok stuff, I've got videos where I essentially say Matthews is trash. I don't believe that.
Mhm.
I don't like Matthews bows. The grips and I don't get along, but I don't think they're trash by any stretch. But you know what that does? It's really divisive and people argue.
Oh
And it's
yeah.
like, you know what?
Yes.
My,
It gets your content way up there.
straight up, my views were low. Like I made
Yep.
5 videos in a row talking about how I didn't like Matthews, and my 6th video was like, yeah, basically my views were low and I just wanted some engagement.
Hey.
I'm going to start doing that.
Yeah, I
I'm not-
can't. I
like-
can't fault you for that. I really can't.
I don't lie about and I don't lie about it.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna lie about it. That's exactly why it happened. I don't think that video, if I remember right, the way it went is I basically said was like kind of trashing on Matthews. I was never really saying anything bad. It was just kind of like they're not for me and everybody gets all offended.
Yeah.
And then the 6th video was like, what are your top 5 bows of all time? My number 1 bow ever is the Matthews Switchback.
The switchback was a badass bow.
My number 1 bow of all time. And after I gave that as number 1, I'm like, man, I bet you guys that thought I hate Matthews are really confused now. I don't, man. I don't
I
actually
can see
hate
myself getting banned off of so many bow hunting forums because I'm going to get my ratings up.
I don't go on bow hunting Facebook groups or forums or anything like that anymore. I can't do it.
Yeah, it's always
The
a
frust-
picking contest, man.
Well, that and the frustrating thing for me is there's a lot of people on there that should never be giving advice to anybody giving advice. And then you
Yep.
see the guy that really is trying to learn and he's so overwhelmed with basically what happens, the people giving shitty advice overwhelm the people giving good advice. And then there's so many different pieces of advice, they just don't know who to listen to.
Yeah.
And it doesn't help them at all.
That's 100% what I went through when I first dove into this. And now I've found like a good spot, but it can take a long time. So
I did a
see
video
people-
or I did a post on the it was, the controversy of tuning with a fixed blade broadhead.
Yep.
And I got so much freaking hate on that, and some of them were just people that you can look back on their profile and be like, you've never even hunted. Don't try and tell me I'm wrong when I'm the one that did my research on the dynamic spine of it and how you don't need to paper tune if you're shooting just a fixed blade broadhead hunting only. Not if you're a target shooter, not if you're a mechanical shooter, only if you're a fixed blade broadhead guy. You don't need to paper tune because it's going to do shit completely different.
My bow tuning regiment is so simplistic that I get people so mad. Literally, this is how I set up my personal bows. I grab my bow, I set everything up, I shoot it through paper, look for a bullet hole. If I got my bullet hole, I know the arrow's coming off. And then I go out back and I screw in the biggest, nastiest fixed blade I have and shoot it next to a field point.
Yes.
And if they hit touching each other at my max hunting distance, my bow's tuned and ready to hunt.
Your paper tune is to help you get your initially close, but it's not for, perfection when you're just using it for a hunting bow or a hunting setup with a fixed blade broadhead.
Well, here's something that'll blow most people's mind.
Completely different though if you're a target or a mechanical guy. Yes, paper tune like crazy.
Well, here's something that'll blow your mind. Did you know most professional archers do not want to see a bullet hole in the paper for their competition bow?
I have heard that.
Levi Morgan, the last I knew, he set his comp bow up with a low left tear.
It's low left. Yep.
Because that's the most forgiving tear for his setup.
Mm-hmm.
So what they do,
everybody's setup is different, but yeah.
They do something called group tuning, where they'll go out at their max distance and shoot groups with arrows and move the rest around until they find the tightest grouping consistently. And that's what they don't care what that paper tear looks like.
Yep, absolutely.
I guess for target, it makes sense though, because you just want it to be accurate. I mean, obviously you don't want an arrow, going like that, but it makes sense. I can see why.
If that's how they can shoot the most consistent arrows tight to each other, then yeah, let it do that. I've seen some
target shooters that will actually come out of the bow and it will corkscrew like crazy, but they still hit point of impact perfect.
When a half inch in any direction can mean the difference between a $10,000 check and a $2,500 check, you damn well make sure that you're shooting the most consistent you can, no matter how it looks and what the community thinks.
Yeah.
Yep.
We should all take
the fuck the haters, man. If you post something and they have to, like with what happened with JD, literally it had to have been over 100 comments. Some people agreeing, most people like, oh, where's your proof, man? And then he would post where his proof was. And it's just, I said it with Dustin Huff. I said it with Michael Waddell. I'll say it here. The hunting community is so toxic sometimes. Just the hunting community, archery community, all of it is so toxic sometimes. And it circles back to what we were talking about, like getting people out there in the woods. That needs to stop because we're going to lose this shit. And then what? We don't have it.
Well, I'll tell you a couple things you can think about. First is, I don't agree with you. I don't think that the hunting and outdoor community is toxic. I just think the toxic ones have the biggest voices and make their voices heard the most. So that's what we think about.
I agree.
And to put that in perspective, think of the worst hunt you ever went on and all the shit that went wrong. And now you tell that story and laugh about it. You'll never forget it. But that time you went out and got in your stand and shot that doe was cool, but you may not remember all those details.
Yeah.
Same principle when you're dealing with people. You're going to remember the asshole that said the shitty things in the comment section. What you're not going to remember is the name of the 50 guys that didn't comment or just were like cool or just said a basic comment or like great or good luck or gave a thumbs up.
Yeah. And I think you're right. It is easier to like focus on the negative stuff. And I think what I meant by being toxic is that, like, I had a buddy of mine on a few months ago and he posted a picture of a spike he shot.
Mm-hmm.
All there was everyone being like, oh, you should have shot something bigger. Why didn't you shoot something bigger? To me, and you're right, there were some comments that were like, oh, good job, man. And that's awesome. I love when people do that.
High five. Congratulations.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I hate it though when it just seems, and that's why I said it's like a pissing contest, because a lot of guys that I've seen at least try to be like, oh, I'm a big buck killer. And, they haven't killed anything bigger than what's behind me. So I think that's kind of what I meant is like the negative stuff is much louder than the positive stuff. And I feel like it needs to switch. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Well, I mean, all you got to do is turn on the news to figure that out. The negative is always louder.
True.
Well, and,
Very
and
true.
I don't disagree with you in that aspect. I guess my rebuttal to that is twofold. Um, well, first off, I don't disagree, and it's shitty because not only are we the ones seeing the negative, everybody else that's not in the community is as well.
Yep.
So I
Mhm.
don't disagree. Like that needs to be not a thing.
Mhm.
My rebuttal to that though is specifically we see more of it because it's social media. Like
Yeah.
99% of the guys that say shit on social media would never say that to your face.
Oh,
Ever.
100%.
No, they're
So-
keyboard warriors.
Yeah.
So the thing about social media is we have the ability to curate it to show us what we want to see. So for your buddy that posted the picture of the spike, if I was him, every single person that wanted to talk shit would have immediately been blocked off of my Facebook or Instagram or whatever. Every single one. I don't need them in my life. They're not
Yeah.
going to gain me anything. So he has the
Yep.
ability to curate that to keep the kind of people he wants to surround himself with in his life.
Trent, dude.
Social media.
I can't wait for math, bro. I can't wait to
Yeah.
come hang out, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
Well,
dude.
It's gonna be awesome.
I'll tell you a math secret too while we're here. Next year, we just nailed down one of the giveaways we're
Mhm.
doing for next year, and it's a 5-day African Plains game hunt for 4 animals.
What?
Wow.
Yeah.
Dang.
So, and that's
Where do
just
I
what we have
sign up?
nailed. That's just what we have nailed down. The goal is going to be build that into something way, way bigger. Like I'm aiming for a total prize package in the $50,000 to $60,000 range.
Does that include Alaska?
It's going to include your hunt, all your equipment for the hunt, a bunch. Like I'm going to try to build it into the point where the only thing you're paying for out of your pocket is your passport. Everything else is completely paid for.
Dude, I think we
Damn.
need to end it on that because that's a bomb right there. That isn't, I don't know of anyone
Boom.
out there doing stuff like that. I mean, seriously, that just blew my mind that y'all are working towards doing that.
Mountain
that's-
Archery Fest is all about giving back to the community, man. It's all about growing and building hunters, and a big part of that is Brandon's vision. So, that it's a super awesome event. I urge anyone that can make it out to come make it out, meet the crew. We're always all running around. All of us will stop and talk to you because we all love it.
Yeah, we will definitely be there, and we will for
Oh,
sure link up with you up there, man. But look, like I said, I don't want to take too much of your time, and your boys got to get up at about 4 a.m. tomorrow. So,
Sure.
going 9 to 5. But yeah, man, let's keep talking on Instagram, or I'll shoot you my number and we can text and all that, and we'll work out some plans for math and
Yeah,
talk about broadhead stuff and all of that.
Both you guys reach out to me and shoot me your numbers, and we'll throw together a group text where we can all BS.
Yeah,
Oh,
for sure.
hell yeah.
I will for sure. I'll make it happen. But
All right, man.
cool, man. Well, I appreciate it, dude. Thank you for all the knowledge, all the controversial stuff. I can't, it's always fun. It's always fun
man.
to ruffle some feathers, man.
I'm happy to come do it, man. I'm happy to do it again if you guys want to do it again too. I could, like you said, we could sit and do this for hours, man. I could do this all day long.
Yeah, my wife, when I came down here, she was like, "Well, you're gonna be down there for 2 hours again." I'm like, "No, I'm not." And now I'm looking at it, I'm like, "Oh, it's 2 hours." He was right. But yeah, dude,
Yeah.
we'll stay in touch and we'll make this happen soon for sure.
Sounds good, man. I appreciate you guys.
Sir, thank you.
Yeah, man, we appreciate it.
Yep. Bye.